I don't know why the freaking music's being weird and chirpy. It's like my internet can't handle doing what I'm doing right now, which is really ridiculous. What's up? So we got Giovanni, Red Flame Fox, McLumbin on the stream tonight. Thanks so much. Somebody did something to the stream. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's the host. There we go. The lights are going off. You can't really see it now, but I'm going to change my thing. Now you can see it. There we go. The lights went off. And I'm still covering the stream. Gosh dang it, I'm a noob. Here we go. So, we have a full cast for you tonight. We're going to have Keith Stone Smooth, which she's been on the show before. So make sure you check them out. I'll link their socials throughout the stream here. But yeah, we got some topics to run through. This is the first ever parenting podcast that I've come across on Twitch. So I'd like to say this is the first you'll ever see it. Maybe the last, because you can hear my child crying in the background. So we do have some topics to run through tonight. I'm your main host, and here's your co-host. I don't know. We're all co-hosts in this together, I feel, because parenting is a trial and error, and it's okay as long as the kid doesn't end up in jail. It's the goal, right? For all of us. So
it's a good goal.
So we'll go ahead and start with Red Flame Fox. Go ahead and introduce yourself, even though I kind of just said your name. But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself and get
I am the Red Flame Fox. I've been a parent since 2010. I have 3 kids, 8 and I just forgot.
You can do it.
A pair of 4-year-old twins, boy and girl. The twins were born 3 months early. They both have trachs and G tubes, which my situation is a little different than most people's. They spent the first 6 months in neonatal ICU or NICU, and they have specialist doctors. I live in Georgia. They have specialist doctors in Cincinnati that we have to drive 568 miles.
Jeez.
Probably once a month. Sometimes we fly. But other than that, I have to stay home with them. So that's why I'm a streamer, and I just happen to be a dad too.
Okay. Nice. So you're the one who mainly stays at home with the kids then? Okay, cool. And then marital status, married?
Married.
Okay, cool. Because we're going to have perspectives from both sides of it, and it's going to be very important to get single parenthood issues out there as well, because I think that's also half of what people go through considering the divorce rate. So co-parenting is very weird and can be also very troublesome and stressful. Thanks for being here, man. Hopefully we'll be continuing this partnership on this there. McLumbin, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about you, man.
All right. I'm from New York. I have 2 kids. I have a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. Thank God, daughter just is suffering a little bit from seizures, and we just found out Monday that the MRI came back clean. So, been a little bit happy about that. No stress on the tumor or anything.
Oh, wow.
But
yeah.
I'm gonna come on the single aspect. Now, very civil with my children's mother, but I've got the aspect of it being rough at first, and then coming along now with being civil and getting along pretty well. We live virtually around the corner from each other, so everything's pretty easy for the kids and whatnot. And that's it. I work full time, Monday through Friday job, and take them as much as I possibly can when I need it. My kid's mother's pregnant now that she's remarried, so there's a little bit of help and awkwardness in that, but no, we'll get this going and have some fun.
I wonder if it'll be awkward when they ask you to watch all the kids. You're like, no. I'll watch my kids.
It's already been said. My son came up to me and was like, you're going to be a daddy again. I went, what? He's like, yeah.
In a way. So it's like.
Mommy's got a baby in her tummy. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, the baby's coming here. No. I don't have to get up anymore. I'm done. I'm going to get fixed after this. So
right, Giovanni, good.
My name is Ravani, and I'm from Florida. I do part-time streaming, newly streaming on here. I have an 8-year-old son, much like McLumbin, if I said your name right. I'm as also single, working on the civilness and custody stuff. So, and my son also has a new sister, not from me. So going through all of that is very interesting. And we went through our time of being really not civil in the beginning to civil, and now all of a sudden not civil again as the baby came. So yeah, it's definitely an experience. Uh, I work in the wedding industry. I plan wedding expos, and I do like event planning regarding wedding stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. And I'm Fala Ferris. So you guys know me if you've watched the channel. I have 2 kiddos. One who was a preemie when she was born at like 32 weeks. So had the community help me out like with raising a bunch of funds and stuff like that to help out. So and deeply indebted to Twitch and doing stuff like that. And so anything I can do to give back of any of my knowledge or anything like that, because you can't have my money because I'm broke still. So that's why I still have to do. I'm just kidding. But we've been different with the second one for sure. And I think that's one thing that happens when you have like 2 kids. Like we have less pictures of the first one or of the second one, which I kind of feel bad. But that happens.
Kinda.
So I'll go into it a little bit later, but I didn't like her at first. And then I didn't think she liked me. So it was because she didn't like me. And so I put up the wall and I said, no, you're not going to be daddy's girl. She's super, super cuddly. That's Michaela. And everyone knows Brinley. She's the one who's usually on the couch doing stupid stuff and whatnot. I'm pretty safe social media wise around them, but people know who they are and they're going to find out. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just share pictures and whatnot. So I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I bring that to the table. So I think I almost have the youngest ones out of the group so far tonight, right? Yeah, pretty much. So I won't have any knowledge to share. However, we do have some topics to cover, and I thought this was pretty cool, considering with content creation and stuff like that. Do you guys use like YouTube Kids at all with
No.
the children? Good job.
No.
This is an educational piece for everyone who does use YouTube Kids. Delete that app immediately. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff that they've been not necessarily linked to, but the most recent one was the Momo challenge that went viral.
Yeah.
That was insane. But prior to that, my daughter had an issue where she was talking about seeing like she didn't want to go to the doctor because the doctor would cut her head open and she'd bleed out. And this is when she was like 2.5. Well, because some of the videos that were on there, like the cartoon videos and stuff like that, it was chill, but it was no bueno.
Well, I'll tell you, just last week there was a thing going around on Twitter and Facebook, I believe, where YouTube Kids it was like a mermaid show, and it actually showed the mermaid without a top on.
Like everything?
Like
Yeah.
like you without a shirt or a bra on.
Yeah, there's
a
other
mermaid,
ones. Yeah, there's other
and
ones too where they have like Spider-Man and Elsa, like in cosplay, like doing inappropriate positions. Yeah. It's bad.
I mean, my kids don't watch YouTube. I don't let them because of that, and I've had to strictly forbid my parents from letting them use YouTube as well. But my mother will also let my kid watch those pimple popping videos. So he doesn't like those either.
Doesn't
Well, that's
YouTube
good.
have a screening when they post something?
Yeah, but for whatever, I mean, just like Twitch, there's going to be someone who breaks TOS or whatnot. Because I saw porn on Twitch the other day. That was like some channel that was just doing straight up.
It's been happening a lot lately.
And it's been happening more frequent than ever. Like I've never really seen it be an issue prior to that, but it's usually at least once a week now, as opposed to where I think I've heard it like once a year if that happened.
Right.
But yeah, so
Like a game of how many viewers they can get before they get banned or something. Because
and it's surprisingly fast.
it
So
was like 5K when somebody did it. I forgot. It was like a couple months ago that I was scrolling through the categories and it was right there at the top and it was like change. I was dying laughing. I thought it was hilarious. But
yeah, they're just chatting. There was somebody, and they kept hosting people with like a couple thousand people, and they're like going, "Yay, thank you." I don't know who you are. What do you stream? I'm like, porn. You want to see boobs? take away this raid fast. It was weird. I may have been part of it. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
don't ban me, bitch. Don't do it.
No. So yeah, the other thing too. So obviously, YouTube kids, good job. Don't do YouTube kids. YouTube, I let Brinley watch some of the music videos, and we usually will have it on our stream, like on our TV, so I at least see what content she's watching, and so I'm fine with that. But
Yeah, my son does regular YouTube, but I mean, he has some pretty strict rules about what he can and can't watch. And I have it connected to my Gmail so I can see everything he looks up
that's smart.
and everything. I never have tried YouTube Kids just because he's always like looking at like his Bigfoot reel or what's the biggest shark or top epic Fortnite kills. And I'm like, okay. So he never strays from those topics. So far we haven't had an issue. But he did say that he's seen the Momo challenge stuff before. When I brought it up to him, I was like, Avery, have you ever seen this before? He's like, oh yeah, that's been in Fortnite videos. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, oh yeah, that's been in my Fortnite videos. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't seem fazed by it though. He thought it was stupid. So
I'll sit and watch YouTube videos with my kid, but it's usually like I'll show him replays of Michael Jordan,
Okay.
Right.
The GOAT. I don't care what y'all say about LeBron. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Muhammad Ali, Bo Jackson.
History stuff. Okay.
Yeah, history stuff. I'll let him watch
History
that.
stuff.
I also let him watch some of the, the survival, like the bug out bushcraft people, because we're kind of getting into the camping thing. But he doesn't, unless I'm with him, he doesn't watch YouTube. Either version.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody, did he send me a message or no? I thought somebody sent a message. Maybe he's looking for the link. Sorry. I think Dennis is about to join us. I liked a lot of the stuff that Giovanni put in the Discord, some of those questions, so we'll cover some of those. At what age should kids be allowed to play video games? Who wants to tackle that one first?
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. My son is 6 and he'll get on it occasionally when I have him on the weekends and like if I'll let him play for a half hour, an hour. He'll go on World of Warcraft and just run around and he plays just a warlock, so he'll go around and just throw shadow bolts at target dummies and stuff like that. So he thinks it's just fun. So he doesn't know what the heck he's doing, but we got him this year for his birthday. His mother and I split a Nintendo Switch. He's very good about it. He would actually prefer to be outside playing and everything. So I guess we're lucky in that aspect. He doesn't need to. But I mean, I live on video games for the most part. But
Right.
but so I mean, if he wants to get on, I don't care if he plays. It's as long as he still is doing his schoolwork, and that's what I care about. He does baseball, and I pay for that. So as long as he's doing outside activities a little bit, I don't even care. He could have started whenever he wanted, as long as he does his schoolwork.
I started mine when he was 3 on the original NES that I had from 1988, and he was playing Super Mario Brothers. So I started him early. I think I ruined him.
Ruined him?
Did you teach him the level jump at least?
I taught him how to get to the negative levels. But there are games of that like he went to a cousin's house and they had Fortnite on PS4.
Mhm.
And he got to playing the campaign part where you build stuff. And he's like, yeah, I really like that. And then they switched him over to the multiplayer, and he's like, I don't think I'm supposed to be playing this. So he was kind of like he knew, but he knows that if there's something he's got a question about, he's not going to get in trouble for it but if he just deliberately does it and tries to hide it, that's when he gets in trouble with stuff like that. But I mean, he's got an iPad. He got a 2DS for Christmas a couple of years ago, and then the next year the Switch came out, and then he wanted one of those. But we said, no, we're not going to spend that much for Christmas. You're going to have to work to earn it. And he worked, and he saved birthday and Christmas money, and he bought one. So he takes a lot better care of that Switch than because he spent his own money for it. But he's got Smash, he's got Mario Kart. So I mean, he's almost as good or better than I am when it comes to those games.
How about you, Giovanni?
My son started video games when he was about 6, but that wasn't like on purpose or anything. I mean, he could have started earlier if he wanted, but the only limitations I really put on him are like he can play Fortnite, he plays Rocket League, like the types of games he plays. Like some of his little friends, right now he's 8 and he has a 7-year-old he plays with a lot that plays Call of Duty a lot. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like when there's a high amount of adults playing in the like queue and mic to where they'd be miking up with adults, like those are kind of the ones where I stay away from. But any other types of games, like I feel like are fine, and I don't see why 3 or whatever. I think it's good for hand-eye coordination. Like I think he's gotten really good at a lot. Like Minecraft, he totally blows my mind with what he does in Minecraft. Like it's amazing what the kids can do with that. So I don't think that there's too young of an age, but I think there is being too young for certain types of games.
I agree.
Or the communities, kind of, because I mean, let's face it, playing Call of Duty realistically is because most adults, or I mean, when I was playing Call of Duty, there were still 13-year-olds that were telling me that they were going to fuck my mother. So I mean, it's realistically that type of community. Fortnite is a lot of younger kids, so they're not the ones telling you that you're gay or they're fucking your mother, but it's
he gets a lot of adults on Fortnite that are like hateful to him. I'm like, what would motivate an adult to bully a group of little kids?
I do it all the time.
It's rare. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. I gotta say, I can understand it, especially with Apex out, because you get paired randomly with kids that have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when it's that, well, I guess when it's that competitive, it does get annoying.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to tell them to go jump off a cliff or anything. But I am going to be firm and say, hey, you need to cut it out, or you need to do something.
Right.
Go do your homework, kid. I'll probably be like they stand up how like making fun of them and stuff like that. I already did my homework. That's not what your mother said. And like, stuff like that. But, I mean, I'll troll kids, but not to the point of like where you're borderline like harassment and saying hateful stuff to them. I've rarely play where I'm talking to people anymore because I don't have time anymore. But trolling, I don't know. Trolling people online is a completely different topic that I can hang my hat on and say I was pretty proud and also very not proud at the same time. But yeah, it was yeah, we won't cover that there. Anyways, with covering like the kids, like Brindley she's 4. She knows how to work the iPad. She doesn't know how to listen to me when I say you're on timeout, but she remembers my 6-digit PIN to my iPhone to get into
Right?
that. So go figure. But I've taught her like we actually came across some educational type games, and so that's been something that we've let her do. But the only thing that kind of sucks is like subscription based. So it's like she'll go in a part where she'll play it for a while, and then she won't play them. But there's like shape ones, there's math type stuff where she's starting to learn that, like learning her alphabet. She already knows how to read like all her alphabet and stuff like that. So starting to teach her how to read is something that she's learning to do now, and so I think some of that stuff has helped with it, but I think like some of the educational games where it's like interactive education, I don't really see those as games. But she plays Fortnite. She knows the Fortnite dances. She was on Claw's stream last night doing the her spaz floss or whatnot. So it was, I have to go and clip it. It was pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie. She like stood on the couch and did a floss. I won't reenact it or call her in to do it right now, but
No, I think we need to see a reenactment of this.
shoot, we had such a hard time getting her out of here, and then I pull her in here. Maybe we'll close the
Oh
stream
no,
with
you
her
doing
that.
it. You reenact.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Maybe later. Maybe if we hit our sub goal tonight or something like that, I'll do something stupid and introduce my and
Sub
make myself
goal,
tall.
sub goal.
Sub goal. But yeah. I think in moderation, obviously, I think everyone's across the board on that, which is kind of cool. Like video games are something that is going to be very much in the future with it, and I think leading. I don't know. I think like because the next question was like, do you believe the video games can lead to violent tendencies? If that was the case, then we'd hear a lot more stories about Twitch streamers doing stupid shit. In my opinion,
Violent is as in throwing your controller through the TV, not going to rob a bank.
I guess. I mean, that's rage inducing though. That's lag. That's lag's
But-
fault. Lag causes the rage, not the game.
So I typed that in, and I pulled up this quote. It's from the USA Today, from some egghead back in 2018, October.
Okay.
So just a few
not
months
too
ago.
far ago.
They said the effect is relatively small, but statistically reliable. The effect does exist. So that tells me they didn't have very many people that actually. Here's the deal. I think that you get the aggression and the violence from because video games is just like crack or meth. It gets addictive. And if somebody comes and takes your crack or your video game away, you're going to be pissed. Just like my kid, I got 3 kids. Each one of them have an iPad, which is, anyway, you take that away.
Expensive.
Which is a problem in itself. No, I'm
2
just
of them
kidding.
were actually speech devices for the 2, but then we unlocked it so they can, because we were tired of them fighting over one. So you can always see when you take it away from them, they're just rebellious afterwards. Just like if somebody came and took my PS4 controller and hit it, I'd be mad too.
Right.
But I don't think it's gonna. I think you do have to, when you're gonna let your kid play a video game. I think, or even yourself, you have to remember that it's not real. It's just like those Bugs Bunny cartoons. You know, if an anvil hits you on the head, you're gonna die. Not.
Yeah, and I think that depending on what type of game, I mean, like letting a 5-year-old play GTA, obviously, I think would have a bigger effect on somebody later on down the line of their choices of being able to desensitize them. I mean, we can all say we've been desensitized to certain things because we can see certain videos or something like that in the news and whatnot, like the real stuff, and it we've already seen it in a movie or in a video game in a sense. And so the desensitization, I'm trying to make up words now. The when they're desensitized, I think that's the bigger issue with that. And I don't think that leads to violence per se. I think they just wouldn't know. I don't know. I think that I think it can cause more lack. My more concern with it be the lack of empathy or the loss of empathy from video games as opposed to violent tendencies. I think that's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys, I mean, I think more or less it can be the communities, but like the game itself, I don't know who here has played League of Legends or not, but if you want to talk about the most tilting game that's going to piss me off on the planet, it's League of Legends. And it's just there's no calming a rage from the League of Legends throw. And for my luckily I don't have any remotes to throw through the TV because I'd go through a lot of TVs and a lot of controllers. I think I've smashed 2 or 3 mice from it, but I it could be the game too. But I mean, luckily enough, I can compose myself after a small rage fit. But there's games that'll tilt you, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
True. Well, we have Keystone Smooth who just joined us. If you want to introduce yourself real quick and tell us your quick little story.
You just did it.
Nice.
But
yeah, enough of him.
I-
All right, that's fine. You're late.
No,
we
no,
don't,
hold
we don't
on.
care. No, we don't care.
with the tilting,
We already tilted from our conversation earlier via texting.
too bad. Tilt some more.
Just
You
whatever.
haven't fallen over yet. Counter-Strike back in the beta days, way before there was like CS:GO or Source or anything, like late 90s, early 2000s.
Mhm.
I broke 4 or 5 laser mice, and that was like, when laser mice was like the new thing, and they were like $80 a piece.
Yep.
Broke a monitor just from shoving it off
Sounds
of
bad.
my computer desk. Broke a couple of keyboards. Yeah, so I've been there. And when my kid now, when he's like playing Fortnite and such, or he's playing really anything that he starts to get like super pissed off about, when he's getting the frustration and we can hear the frustration in him, that's when it's time to take a break. So like we're really trying to ring that in because controllers don't have wires anymore and they're really easy to break.
True. Yeah, especially like the Switch ones. Like those ones are tiny. So
Those are
Well,
fire.
they're playing the Switch on the actual console, so like
Uh-oh.
if they throw the controller, they're throwing the whole damn thing, and I might have to end a life.
I thought it was we
And
had
a
a
life.
we had a kid who was in our like small group, and in my man cave it wasn't as high tech as it is now, but we had like a TV in there, and it had some of the game systems on there, so whenever the kids came by they wanted to play the Wii U. The Wii U controller was the one that one of the kids raged and threw down, and I was like, ugh. I was like, okay, I'll let you live, little kid, because I don't know, I was just like mad, but we didn't have kids at the time, so I didn't know how to handle it and how to talk to someone like, hey, can you make sure your kid doesn't break my shit? So luckily it didn't get broken, but the kid is I want to say he was he had some sort of like he didn't have a mental disability, but it was just like I think he was autistic on a certain scale. And so the dad knew he was raging at that point, and then knew he was going to do this, and he kind of like said, "Don't throw it down," and then it's kind of like he led him to do that. So I was like, "Come on, man!" And so I think more or less,
Somebody got to catch a beating.
yeah, it was like the dad, in my opinion. No, I'm just kidding. So-
That's fine. That's fine. Somebody's paying for that.
End up sending an invoice home.
yeah, I'm like, dude, you knew that was going to happen. You saw the future, and then you just let it happen. So, oh man.
We had I don't know if you guys remember, a couple, probably maybe like a year ago now, there was somebody who brought a gun to a LAN party in Florida. I don't remember what kind of
Are you talking about the
event it
Madden
was.
one? The Madden
Maybe,
one?
yeah. I
It
think
was
that
the
was
one
it.
in Florida. Yeah, there
And,
was
like,
a couple players.
For the
that
next couple days,
Always
in
in
the
always
news.
in Florida.
It is always in Florida.
It is true.
But for the next couple days, the news, all the headlines were like, our video games to blame. Our video games causing, people to go in and shoot up people. Like, are they causing like all this stuff? So that's why I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. Because it makes us rage, but
They were playing Madden.
I know, and it's just like
It's
to
true.
the common like normies out there who don't play video games, like they that I don't know how that assumption is
All
there
right, well,
that
let's
video games
follow that
make
logic.
that
let's
video
follow
games
that
make
logic.
people.
Well,
They're
the
playing a
game,
football game.
yeah, the game was Madden. So if the kids actually would have played real sports, they would have been able to know how to keep themselves composed and not lose their cool. In my opinion, but
Here's the thing: When's the last time you've
Facts.
seen somebody riot in America after the Super Bowl or a football game?
All the
No.
games, all the Super Bowls.
Well, you don't see cars on fire.
Ray Lewis? No, I'm just kidding.
Then you go to over. Then you watch the soccer games. You actually get fires on cars after those. So
Oh yeah, death
mean-
threats to people that mess up over there.
Which fan base is more violent? Definitely probably soccer compared to
Oh, yeah.
football. But there's, I don't know. What was the question again? I kind of got lost when we went in the weeds of soccer and football.
Well, I was just saying, like, the idea that, like, the Florida media was trying to set was that video games caused this guy to go do that.
Yeah,
Like,
the
are video
guy-
games making
competition.
people act like this?
But when it came out, like the guy, I think the who shall not be named, because I should never remember the shooters anyways. But he was mentally unstable from the get go, and there was a lot more warning signs compared to just the video games. Now, did the video games amplify him to somewhat engage in a social mindset? I don't know, but to say like this is the one thing there, I go, like I said, you can just look at the thousands of people who stream on Twitch, well, not the just chatting section, but the thousands of people that have streamed on Twitch, the thousands of YouTube content creators, and none of them have had done any the percentage of how many crimes happen as far as like violent crimes and correlation of them playing video games, there'd be a way more widespread issue of saying like, hey, you shouldn't stream on Twitch or you shouldn't play video games because it's going to cause you to do this. Like, that's not happening. I think it's just something that the media tries to spin out to piss people off. And
I think it's a big part of just competition and not being able to deal with defeat when you're there. You know what I mean? Like not being a sore loser or being a titty baby about it or something. And that's that.
Well, so last year we were at DreamHack, and they were asking the question of that, and they were trying to launch the game on Steam, Active Shooter, where you can play as like the police or the shooter, and it was like a game where you're supposed to like a simulation of doing a shooting thing, which I thought was obviously inappropriate. And everyone in the gaming community, it never got released on Steam. Same thing. Like, do you think a game like that would have encouraged people to do stuff?
we've been playing GTA for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I find your lack of faith
when
disturbing.
Vice City came out, there was a thing about somebody killing a police officer and taking their clothes and riding around as a cop. I can't remember all the details. I just remember when it came out, they started doing that because there was an actual mission in Vice City where you did the exact same thing. So you're going to have a nut in every bunch, but you didn't see anybody else doing it.
Yeah. What do you think about exposing kids to social media? That's definitely something that I don't think this group we grew up with. Like the bully at, when we were at school, at home, stopped the moment we left or got off the bus or whatever else. Now the bully kind of has 24/7 access to us. What do you think, or to our children? What do you think of social media and children?
I don't have any idea how I'm going to deal with that yet.
Because kind of getting close on the age on some of that. Like, my daughter likes taking Snapchat photo filters. That's the only reason I have a Snapchat, and to sell my premium for my tier 2 subs. Just kidding. But premium Snapchat coming to you next month, baby. Yes. All the lewds and NSFWs or whatever it is. Not suitable for it. Yeah. NSFWs. Oh.
The stuff I think is weird is like the TikTok stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of that stuff. But like those trends and stuff that they gotta look a certain way, or I see like, because my son's only in 2nd grade, but even in 2nd grade, you see a lot of these little girls like talking about stuff that they really like. Should 2nd graders be doing TikTok videos? I don't know. Like, the people who are watching them, like, I don't I'm not against social media. Like on Facebook, you can put Messenger. Like my son's father has Messenger for kids on his phone so that we could talk to each other that way, which is kind of neat, where he can just kind of like message me whenever he's at his dad's. But outside of that, like, I don't know, I think maybe mine's a little bit too young to think about that quite yet. But some of the stuff like Snapchat and like hiding certain social media so you can talk to random people around the world, kind of scares me a little bit. Because I remember when I was in like middle school, we all were doing what was it, AOL chat rooms or whatever, and my parents didn't monitor me at all, and I was doing shit I should not have been doing. And I think back now and I'm like, if this dude got caught, he probably would have went to jail. And I just thought nothing of it. I was like, yeah, we're AOL chat rooming, like, like whatever. And I don't know, like, it can only get worse from there, so I have no idea what could happen.
Can you imagine
now,
if you had to take that name that you created from your first username ever?
XX Midnight Baby XX. Yeah. So stupid.
So
mine was football stud something. I forget.
So anything that has a direct message, anything Facebook, anything like that, my son doesn't do, and he won't until he gets old enough where we think he may be responsible for it.
Right.
Just like Giovanni. Is it Joe or Yo?
Joe.
Giovanni. Sorry.
Giovanni. Yeah.
I had ICQ. I don't know if any of y'all remember ICQ in MSN Messenger, but
100%.
I lived in the sticks of backwoods Georgia, and we had dial-up internet, and that's the only way I talked to my friends from school because we lived 5 miles from the closest friend, and so we didn't go to each other's house. So I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I don't even remember what my first username was, so I couldn't tell you. But
it probably something embarrassing. Don't worry, everyone has.
Yeah, it probably was, but I don't remember. So, yeah, we're just gonna keep him away from it until he can show us he's responsible, and then we'll visit it later.
Yeah.
There's too many creepers in the world. I don't think that I would allow them to have it until at least older, like where like if someone says something that they'll tell me. But that's now where the way technology is going. There's so many predators, and
yeah,
it's so easy to access and find out information about a person that I couldn't. I'll be the asshole that the kids hate because they're like, nope, daddy won't let me have this. Nope, you're not.
Yeah.
I
think
we don't, like, when my kid's playing Fortnite or something like that on the Switch, we don't let him plug in like a mic and all that kind of stuff. Like, you can still hear people, but he's not gonna be communicating with people and all that, just randos and all that kind of stuff. Like, he's got iMessage on his iPad, so he can, and whoever's numbers or email addresses we've programmed into it or that he has saved. But I don't think that I'd let him have anything that is going to where he can just go hunting for people or people can go hunting for him, at least not for a while.
How old is he?
He's 7. He'll be 8 in June.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brindley, like that's the thing too. I was thinking like games that kids primarily play, like Club Penguin. Isn't that something that could be like a predator pool or something like that? Like,
what is Club Penguin?
I don't know. I just remember that being a big thing a few years back, where kids wanted to play that. It was similar to like I don't know. I think it was like an online based like world where you can kind of join as penguin, you buy clothes and stuff for it, and so it was definitely like a cash grab or like a lot of microtransactions as well, but you're just interacting with other people there as well. But I guess Roblox is also
I was about to say my kid plays, like, he's been on spring break all week, and I would say that 80% of the time that he's been here, that I've been at work, he's been on his iPad playing Roblox.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can communicate with people through there and everything, but they're fairly strict on policy on what you can say and what you can't say and all that kind of stuff. And he's got a couple of friends on there, but yeah, that's something that I hadn't really considered either till you just said it.
See, just saying, man, I'm helping you out. No, I'm just kidding. But
Call him in here. No more Roblox.
No more Roblox.
That guy right there, he said it.
They're
He
trying to
said
make you
no more
sub to Booty
Roblox.
Pie in that game. They banned you.
Now, do some of those games have like an option, like under report or anything, to report like abusive voice chat? Because I still play Counter Strike. It was funny when you popped in, Keystone, and you were talking about CS, but I've been playing since the 1.3 days, and that's like one of the most long-standing games ever. But that's like the only game I've seen that has, or if you report someone, you can report for abusive voice chat. And I don't play Fortnite. In Apex, I just never reported anybody because I
I don't know if Fortnite has that.
It's just
I have
weird
no
how
idea.
You could trash somebody and be completely so belittling in voice chat, and I mean,
Yeah.
but the only one I've seen with it is CS:GO.
Yeah, there was an incident with a harassment thing that happened with like a player who was being targeted on Fallout 4, and then they actually banned that person from the game completely. So I know some companies will do stuff, but I don't know if they reacted because the clip went viral, and they were just spitting a lot of like anti-LGBT stuff like at this person, and yeah, it was just being dumb. And they're like, whether you're joking in a role play situation, like the person's not role playing, obviously, so it doesn't matter. Like the person, like as much as I disagree with a full on ban, but the company has a right to do that if they have it in their terms of service. To like, don't be a dick, basically.
I've noticed with there's a certain setting in Apex that if you don't want to broadcast your voice, you can set it to where when you talk, it then puts it in text for the other people to read, and it's text to speech or speech whatever. So I think the technology is there to be able to start logging the conversations and all that. It just, I don't think that the games are there yet. See, if I was going to let my kid, whatever the game, Roblox, he plays Minecraft, but he plays it offline. Any of the where you can interact with somebody else, I'd have to have some kind of log of what was typed. And I know that would be a lot of reading, but I mean, you got to have some kind of something to be able to go back and see. You got to have a record of what was said so you can find who did it.
Well, League of Legends has that. So like, I might have had a couple drinks one night, and this one dude was just being a total douchebag, and I said some things, and I got a 10-game chat restriction, and they sent me the logs of why they gave me a chat restriction. So,
and you're like, oh, I said that.
I was like, oops. It was pretty bad. I told the dude that he fucks his sister. Like, I was pissed. And
well, if it was from Alabama, there's a chance that that's true. So it wasn't. No, I'm just kidding.
You spit the truth.
I'm just kidding.
And
not Georgia, but Alabama for sure.
They do it here too.
But you can. But if you report somebody for what they say, it flags them. If it's they have it, so it's you can choose whether there was a negative attitude or if it was racism or just vulgarity or so. You can check all those. So basically, I'm sure if somebody like if in League of Legends, I've noticed if you tell somebody to kill themselves, they instantly ban you. And if you report someone and you put that in the chat, they will go check those logs because you'll get an immediate response back that activity was taken on this person that you reported. So
even if they type like KYS, even
if you type KYS and they've done it and there's like multiple other people that report it, yes, because there's been a couple people that have spammed it.
Yeah. And
I reported it just because I don't think no matter what it is. I mean, if you tell someone to they fuck their sister, that's it happens. But if you tell like it's not okay to tell people to kill themselves, no matter what it is. Like that's one thing I've never done. I've never told somebody to kill themselves. I've never used racial slurs, but because I mean I think that that's just petty, but nothing wrong with telling people they fuck their sister, but whatever.
It's true. Games are getting too soft if you can't talk trash in that tone, in my opinion.
Well, and that's the other part too, like, you know, getting soft and all that too. Like you know, there's certain things like you're saying that, you know, they shouldn't hear or anything like that. But at some point too, it's about educating your kids on what they are. Like, I know in the town that you live in and here in Austin, they sent out the whole Momo thing. I don't know how big it got around the rest of the country, but it, you know, it was like a year-old meme that all of a sudden, you know, some Facebook mom got a hold of and was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is going on." And so they're all freaking out, and then it spreads like wildfire amongst all the other ones. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like there's a million things that happened before that, and there's going to be a million more that happen after that. So rather than trying to like hide this one little thing from your kid, I think it's a better opportunity to educate your kid on like, hey, there's some dumb stuff on there. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, try to figure out, you know, and like what you're exposing your kids to. Like me and my 7-year-old watched the new Halloween movie not too long ago. And I didn't think anything of it because he knows the difference between a movie and real life. You know what I mean? Like it's, I mean, and I know that's not like the most popular thing to, you know, let your kid watch Michael Myers, but you know, he didn't have any nightmares.
Austin Powers, Michael Myers, cool. Mike Myers, the killer, not so cool.
There's a lot of sex jokes in Austin Powers. I'm just saying.
True, but they don't get it. That's fine.
They do. Nowadays, they'll get it. So I got something to show you, and I know this is going to be controversial, but that's Fortnite.
Uh-oh.
Rated T for teen.
Oh my
So
God.
if there's an 8-year-old on there, like my son would be,
then you get to talk
and you
all the trash.
and you buy it for your kid, you have no say. Or you can say all you want to, but you can't be mad because you bought it.
Fair. That's fair.
Now, I'll say
I mean, all they can do is yeah, like they rated Halloween, they rated it R.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
like it's not their fault, but that's on me. You know what I mean? If he had nightmares or something like that, then that's on me. He didn't. And so far he hasn't murdered any trick-or-treaters, but it's only March.
So when I was back on PS3 when Red Dead 1 was out, I met up with a group of friends 8 years ago, still best friends with these guys. So, and that I think that's going to funnel into another question, but I remember kids getting on there. They may have been teenagers, I don't remember. But they would be complaining about the guns that we were using in Red Dead Online. And one of our friends, he was an older guy, he was in his 50s, and he would just, and if he done it now, he would be banned immediately. Mm-hmm. But he literally had told kids, go find your dad's gun, go to the closet, put it in your mouth, pull the trigger. At the time, I thought it was funny. Now I was like, you can't do that anymore. I mean, it was toxic on both sides, but now I see where he kind of went way over the line. Back then, I thought it was hilarious because, you know, I mean, I was kind of like Keystone. I had one in the crib like that, so I didn't have to worry about it. But
yeah.
But now I cringe. That's the backup in case the older one gets locked up for killing somebody.
Well, but the thing though, the thing changed though once people started taking people literally. Like it wasn't so bad. Like you used to be able to troll and say stuff. Now you can't even say things like learn to code and you'll get banned on Twitter. So I mean, like you can't even meme without, you know, offending somebody. Which
what, you can't say that now?
No, like, well, they had it was viewed as a targeting campaign where you said learn to code to a bunch of BuzzFeed reporters because they lost their job and so it was viewed as a targeting campaign. So people got banned on Twitter for that. But
Well, because nowadays everybody tries to sue for any little thing possible.
That's true.
Okay, so that's why Fortnite, you held up that thing to show T for teen. Fortnite did that essentially to do it. I mean, for Christ's sakes, there is a woman that popped up on the news today. A woman is suing Olive Garden because she burned her throat from a hot mushroom. How in the fuck can you legitimately not bite a fresh piece of food and think that it's not going to burn you if you swallow the damn thing whole? Like, so now you're just going to sue because you burned your place served you fresh hot food.
it
Three
should
word.
have been
Three word. McDonald's hot coffee.
Oh yeah, Mick, that was a long time
That was a
ago
long
too.
time ago.
And
Mhm.
Did you hold on? I gotta play devil's advocate with the McDonald's thing. Did you see that lady's lap?
no, this was
The backstory to that was they were boiling the coffee way hotter so they can get more out of it for less. So they were actually using it as a money making, like to cut costs. They were boiling it at a hotter temperature to get more.
So they
It
could
was-
crank it out faster.
They were
type
cutting
thing?
corners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're cutting corners. So
Yeah.
that's why they
Not
lost.
McDonald's.
I don't think that's cutting corners. I think that's being smart and saving money. I mean, I think it's still on the lady's fault that she should have realized that it's hot coffee. And I mean, it's just common sense at that point. If it says, oh, because the label doesn't say hot, okay, I could just chug this. No, it's fucking hot coffee for a reason.
Well, I mean, peanut butter has a label on the side that says caution may contain peanuts.
Kids were eating Tide Pods, and those aren't supposed to be edible either.
Oh,
So-
How did that even start? Like, why do people eat
Because
Tide Pods?
people
looks
take
like a-
lean
They don't
meals
anymore.
Does
literally.
it make you high or something? Like, what's the
no.
purpose of it?
Yeah, it makes you dead. It makes you like anti-vaccine.
It was like the
It's a pissing contest. It's a pissing contest.
yeah. It
So
was,
Like, of
we
all the
had-
things you could eat, why a Tide Pod though?
Well, that's
Natural
So
selection.
we had something
Yeah.
that it wasn't going to kill you, but like I think it's starting to come back too. But we had like the salt and ice thing where you put a bunch of salt on you, and then you just hold the ice cube on there, and then it frostbites you, and you end up with a scar. Like the skin will fall off, like it dies. And we did that a bunch of times when we were kids. Or hold the lighter, the
Mhm.
flame until it gets super hot, and then you move a little smiley face on there. You know, I mean, we were dumb kids.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, you're not killing yourself.
you need a
doing that.
band-aid.
Like,
not a hospital.
yeah, I'm not. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's dumb.
I was putting glue on my hand and peeling it off. What the fuck were all these other people doing?
Yeah. I wasn't the smartest kid.
I mean, I'm still not the smartest person in the world, but I'm not going to go chew on a Tide Pod because it looks like a fat gummy bear.
I'll tell you this. I said motherfucker when I was 5. My dad washed my mouth out with Ivory soap. I don't want to put any kind of soap back in my mouth ever again.
True.
I got soap and now I
You learned
smell
your lesson.
No, I didn't.
He just said
it.
The lesson was soap tastes bad. That's it. That was the whole lesson.
Yeah.
It was
And
a
it was-
future lesson. No Tide Pods.
It was
Yeah.
Ivory soap.
Ivory soap.
Oh, the actual soap bar.
The soap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had liquid dish soap put in my mouth.
Can you reenact
Yeah.
that one more time, please? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
And then clip it.
No.
I wasn't forced to take a bite out of a soap bar. I feel for you, man. It feels bad, man.
So I mean that ties.
I mean,
back
I've
to the
shoved like
social
a bar
media
of
thing,
soap in
though.
my kid's mouth.
This is
before.
what we have to worry about for stupid social media, though, too. Like, because our kids are gonna be like, "Hey, Dad, look at this," and I'm like, "No, don't do that." So like, don't. I did it for the Vine. Remember, people used to do it for the Vine.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna. What's gonna be in like 3 years? I did it for the TikTok.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna make it another.
So what is the new thing now? I have no idea.
Well, TikTok is one of them, which is kind of like Vine, but the I don't even know what the stupid like challenge is for like kids right now, but
I
The
guess
cheese challenge.
huh? Oh yeah, there's just throwing cheese at people. So it's more or less
yeah,
people
that's
abusing
funny, though.
kids. Have you seen
That's
these
really
videos?
Yes.
You better not catch me.
It's hilarious.
Catch my kid throwing cheese. I spent good money on that.
You throw the cheese at the kid.
Yeah, you throw the cheese.
It's
at
not the
kid.
kids throwing the
I'm
cheese.
not gonna waste it either.
my daughter would laugh and then eat the piece of cheese. She's
Yeah.
she's a cheese
I
fiend.
don't
I feel
have
bad.
like the slices
son
right
too.
now. I have just like a brick of cheese, and if I throw a brick of cheese at the kid, it's me. So much for next week's stream, guys. I threw a
wouldn't
brick
have
of
to-
cheese at Brenda.
You wouldn't have to send her to bed. She'd already be asleep.
Death by sharp cheddar.
If,
Oh man.
if I had a piece of cheese right now, I would cheese that baby just for the memes.
Oh God! The first video I saw when they did it, the baby just froze and looked, and it's like, what the fuck did you just do?
If that baby wakes up, he's getting
Yeah.
cheese. I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there so nobody's surprised when it happens.
Does string cheese work? Just hit her with one string of cheese. It won't have the same effect.
Dunk him with it real quick.
While she's sleeping right now. No, I'm just kidding. Another question we have from the thing we can kind of jump to the next one was, do you see video games or even esports as a viable future for children now, for this next generation and stuff like that?
I mean,
Yeah,
you got-
but only in the same way that like professional athletes are. Like, understand that there's thousands, if not millions, of people playing this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but only, like 1% of those thousands or millions of people are going to make it to that level. But yeah, legitimize it like a regular sport. 100%. Yeah.
Well, I was listening to a radio show not too long ago. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
who it was, but they were saying like esports like Ninja is bigger than a lot of NFL players right now, and the NFL is losing fans because the generations that grew up watching football with their dad, those dads are dying, and the kids whose dad just died, their kids are playing Fortnite and CS:GO and stuff like that. So it's NFL is losing their shares, their focus group now, and I see that they're going to start trying to like affiliate themselves with all the esports.
Well, Terry Crews also, he was on The View, I think, one other time, many times, I'm sure. One time he was on The View, he actually was talking about how his kid is kind of like nerdy and is into like building PCs and stuff. And so he actually built a PC with his son. And that's totally not him. Like Terry Crews, big buff guy, you know who he is, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
I love him.
Hold on.
man.
Can we
Buff
pause
guy,
real
man.
quick? Does this, you watch The View?
No, I watched,
Yes, explain.
it was a clip, okay, that came on there,
Clip.
and it was on YouTube. I saw the clip where he talked about it. I don't watch The View. Freaking The View would piss me off. It
Try
triggered
to
me more
cover
than
your
you.
tracks now.
I'd probably be like way further right if I watched The View all the time. I'm only a little bit to the right. You're who was further left? I think was it Giovanni was further left, or you were? No, you were closer to center.
Slightly.
You were close.
Yeah, I'm pretty center.
No, you were further left. You were crazy left.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think that was me. She
Okay.
wasn't real.
I was.
She just
pretty
wasn't
center.
keen on the sandwich question.
The sandwich. What was the sandwich question? I don't remember that.
He interpreted what a woman's
Oh,
role is.
go make a sandwich. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
as one income household. Yeah, that makes sense. But the question literally was, should the woman stay at home with the kids? He's like, and
Hell
that's the
yeah.
woman's role.
America.
Is he wrong?
I and it doesn't have to be a woman. I mean, that can go into another question though, but that would almost borderline politics wise if we don't want to jump into that yet either. But that would go into, would it be amazing to have a single income home where a parent could stay home? I think that would actually alleviate a lot of stress and problems with like relationships as well, because I'm pretty sure if we looked at even relationships that we broke up with, or those that went through a divorce or anything like that, the money issue puts so much strain on a relationship, and especially if someone's not doing their pull, it's just like more reason like, nah, I'm out. I can do this on my own. I don't need you dragging me down. I'll find someone else who can pull their weight too. But yeah.
I think, yeah.
Just kick him to the curb.
Like
Okay.
But like, how would that happen though?
We
Like-
are. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was
We
just
are
thinking,
our household is a one income household because I stay at home. I'm a stay at home dad. Reason why? I graduated the University of Georgia in '08 with a sociology degree, which means nobody was hiring, and my wife made 100 times more than I did. So, and every year she kept getting raises and raises. She makes more money, and it would cost more. It would cost us more in daycare and babysitting
Yeah.
than if I went and got a job.
Yep.
So it,
You make
That's
this
fair. That's why my wife works in childcare for that specific reason,
Yeah.
My kid's mother is a daycare provider
for the
too.
discount.
Yep. So I can't imagine like if we're, I don't know, I'm not even going to go into a socialist idea, but if there is a way to do a socialist thing to help like homes be more single income, then that would be the only policy I can kind of see getting behind for like some sort of socialist idea wise. But yeah, you
With the
heard it
cost
here,
of
folks.
everything going up,
It wouldn't work.
it's so hard.
But I think there's a lot more benefits to having like a kid there or a parent there all the time, right? Because you're going to be able to instill your values and beliefs on the child. You're going to be able to protect them from whatever else. Because there's crazy stories that happen at daycares, even at freaking professional daycares, and a lot of people I think use in-home daycares because it's cheaper, or like using someone that they know or somebody like that. I know we have a in-home provider right now that we just pay because it's cheaper than sending them to like a school or daycare center, stuff like that. Who uses freaking McClellan uses the daycare from the ex-wife or ex, you were saying?
Girlfriend, yeah,
Ex-girlfriend?
one of her dreams was always to. She loved kids. She actually originally wanted like 7 or 8 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I laughed after the first one. And she one of her
one
dreams.
and done.
I got the second one, and it was a girl, so I got one of each, and now I'm gonna get fixed. But her dream was that she ended up wanting to do daycare because she loved kids. So I allowed her to quit, and I supported the whole household. And while she started it up, and I said the only thing she had to do is whatever costs for the certification or everything was all she had to pay for. I would pay for the house, I would pay for all the bills and everything, and allowed her to do it. It paid off in the end now because I don't have to go through court and have to pay half of childcare because she does it. So we also don't have to pay daycare. I
Yeah.
just pay of everything else, and then the wonderful child support, and then insurance. And
Do you care to share your situation? Is it just the one kid, Giovanni? Correct?
For me,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they're at school now, though, so you don't really have any daycare costs usually.
He has his particular school has like a YMCA program where he can do aftercare. So sometimes it's like $45 a week, and from like 3 to 6 because he gets out of school like 3:30, he
Okay.
can stay in aftercare. So I pay for that just because it gives him like time with kids, not just in his class. Like it's more of like a social thing to not be on video games so much, and you get to play with other kids. So
Okay.
I do it optionally. I don't necessarily need it with my work, but
Okay.
yeah.
That's good. Maybe my perception is skewed as far as daycare, but I don't know. I know that shit is expensive. I think.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
It
with
depends
my
on
wife's
where you
discount,
are, too.
yeah, with my wife's discount for him and the 4-year-old,
Points I'm like,
it's
this
like
little shit needs to get a job already.
that little SOB right there. Yeah, like hers is like $60 a week or something. His is like 300,
Yeah.
and that's with her discount.
Because they
You
need
know,
so
I
much
mean-
extra work.
Yeah.
It's
Right,
expensive.
and like it's weird because so she works for like a chain, and depending on which school the kids go to depends on the price.
Jeez.
So like it's all going to be in the area. So of course the area that she's in is all fancy, so it costs way more at that one. But it's at the end of the day we know who's taking care of them. You know what I mean? Like she's a manager there, so she makes, more than it costs to put him there. Because if it was break even, just stay at home and that would be fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's still like, and then once the oldest one went to school, like public school, the price went down, and now the middle one is going to be in public school next year. She'll be in kindergarten, and then it's just that one.
Yeah, I was a beta male for a little bit. I got to stay home with Brinley for a year, just because it was cheaper. The I I was actually making enough on stream. I actually had a contract through another website, a G-rated website. Don't think that way. Where I was getting like a nice contract, so it was like I was streaming on that one as well at the time. But it was nice. Then that money ran out, so now I'm like, damn it. But back on like the esports thing, because I think there's a lot to unpack with as far as like the future with it. Twitch is actually doing a lot of stuff as well. So I don't know if you're aware of it, but they're helping put together credits for broadcasting.
Be right back.
They're able to broadcast they're able to broadcast like Twitch broadcasting is credits. There's also the esports side of it, where college teams are now having teams filled out like for their schools. I was actually at an event in Dallas where they had like teams as far as like Colorado. Trying to think where else. Dang it. There's a lot of Texas teams, but they're like just for Overwatch and Fortnite, just for those two games. And they actually had full on teams that like some of the schools were actually giving them scholarships to go there, which is insane.
There's so much opportunity in video games in general, not just being a pro player. You can be a streamer, you can suck at video games, you could work in software development, you can work in event management, you can work in, there's so many different like avenues you can take it to where it's not just, oh, you can be a pro player and make money. There's like a ton of other opportunities in the scene on all different levels that make really good money if you work at it. So, and some of them don't require college. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen Garvey, who works with Twitch, and he's been doing a lot of stuff. Twitch is really investing into the college scene because, I mean, think about it. How big is collegiate sports in the U.S.? March Madness right now, right? So many people are following and watching that. You now have colleges that are going to be creating teams that can do an Overwatch tournament or even a freaking Madden tournament. FIFA would be big worldwide, in my opinion, just because soccer is so big and receptive worldwide. I don't know why there's not an esport for FIFA yet. Someone's dropping the ball. Literally.
There's an esport for Farming Simulator.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm done. I'm ending my stream. That probably gets more views than me. God damn it.
And I think the last one of the conventions over in Europe, I think all the money they gathered was like $250,000.
Yeah. Rocket League has a really big purse that they've been doing really well with it.
I love Rocket League.
Heroes of the Storm or Heroes of the Dorm, which is a college version of it, where they were giving out, that was on ESPN. Halo has been on like ESPN, so there's definitely a wave happening to it. It just, I think, once they figure out the farm team system of it and making that look like a good thing, and then also you have the college pool to pull from, because I think it'll be really cool seeing that. But you hit the nail on the head. There's so much more to just streaming than just turning on the computer and going live. Like there's branding, there's marketing, there's sales stuff like that. You're working with different companies. There's so much different aspects to the Twitch ecosystem now, that it's stupid not to teach your kid how to do this stuff, because you're basically creating your own little business in a way.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely have to have like a publicist and all that kind of stuff, just like a regular athlete, because I mean, people get in trouble all the time for saying something dumb or doing something they shouldn't, or, you know, ill-advised things
Mhm.
that I'm sure when they're doing them, they're not really thinking about, like, you know, my career or something like that. Whereas, you know, there's somebody to kind of get your back or something
Mhm.
like, hey, you know, it's probably not a good idea to jump up on the table and say, you know, F
Well-
him right in the P. Jameis Winston. We're looking at you, Jameis. All right.
Well, there's
Even when he did that, that was already a dead meme. All right,
yeah.
stop it.
The problem is too is there's a lot of these kids are getting into this space, and they're not learning when to be professional, and they're just learning to kind of just be this persona all the time. And then you're also adding the pressure of having to win if they're in the professional esports side of it. Real briefly, my buddy worked with a very big esport organization that is also affiliated with a professional team. I won't name it because it'll narrow it down. And I don't want to throw him in the bus at all, but um, his experience was this, where he rather, however, at this time, still work with athletes, and I take that I know there's esport athletes, but they're not really athletes if you think about it. They're not stretching their I don't know. That's a topic for another day in a different podcast. Are esport athletes type thing, but the athlete mentality of like these guys are working out and stuff like that. He rather coach kids and that mindset of coaching like actual sports, because the attitude of these kids, they're already in the top 1%, so they already have this chip on their shoulder, and they're not thinking that they need to practice to be good, or they don't see the benefit of diet, working out, and all this other stuff, and just essentially being an adult. And he said he had a trouble teaching these kids to basically be adults, where they haven't had to because they've been coddled or they've been used for their gaming stuff since they've been 13 or even younger and stuff like that. So I do want to see at least a. I think that's one thing that's holding the esports back, is the maturity of the players in the space, because you see too much stupid Twitter drama, and they tweet something stupid after a loss or whatnot, and it's just bad.
Well, in
just think-
pro football, like how old do you have to be in pro football versus being a professional esports athlete? You know, the age difference is,
And
I
that's
think
part
in
of it for
esports you
sure.
can join at like 16 for some things, right? For most
13 in
things.
some instances, and depending on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
game.
So then
Clash
you look
Royale
at
is 16.
Yeah.
other pro things and they have a little bit more maturity, you know, a little bit more age on them. So you have like these 16-year-olds who are going straight from like, okay, I just, you know, learned how to ride a bike and everything, to now I'm going to be a walking billboard for multiple companies and I got to figure, you know, like it, I don't know. It's a lot for someone of that age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna learn to ride a bike and then build a fort in Fortnite.
Right. They're like, oh, I only make mac and cheese because it's the only thing I know how to make, or hot pockets. I'm like,
And I
you
can
know
build
how
a
to cook, bro?
multi-story
Come
building.
on.
I don't know how
Well,
to
the
cook.
thing is, you got to know how to lose.
Leave me alone.
Anybody
Yeah.
can win, but you got to know how to lose. And I think it. I grew up playing sports. I played football, played baseball. I didn't play basketball because I'm not tall enough. But I lost most of those, and I learned how to lose graciously and not, pitch a fit every time. Every time you lose. Now we won some too, but you got to know how to lose. You can't.
Yeah.
And if all you ever do is win, are you actually getting any better? Because you got to work on this too.
Well, do you think there's a disconnect between like a collegiate athlete and say someone in the same age? Because I mean, there's some esports that the average age is a little bit higher, like CS:GO. So like that age demographic, I believe, has higher age, like players who are in that professional realm that are older, right? I don't really hear much drama from that space, right? But you do hear it from some of these, Fortnite spaces or Call of Duty, where these kids are 17 and 18 years old. So maybe it
I
is
think
a maturity type thing.
I think part
Well-
of that too is when you're 22, 24 years old in football, you've had a coach since Pee Wee. Baseball, same thing since T-ball. You've had a coach, you've had structure, you've had this team. Whereas when you're becoming like a professional esports person, you're basically just ruining people in pub servers. You know what I mean? Until you can kind of get with a team and you guys kind of manage yourselves. There's not like any structure until you get to the peak. And then once you get to the peak, then all of a sudden there's, a coach and all that kind of stuff. But you don't really, know. Like you can be really good at the game, but without that structure, you know what I mean? Like, LeBron James is really good at basketball, but he's not very coachable, and he's 3-6 in the finals. So, he doesn't want to take coaching. So yeah, you can be really good. And he grew up that same way. He went in high school and in middle school, he's always way better than everybody else.
Yeah.
He went right from high school to the NBA. And it didn't take him long before he was, head and shoulders above everybody else as far as talent went, and didn't care to, he didn't have like some legendary coach like Kobe Bryant had, to kind of put him in check. Shaq was there. Shaq went to college, and Shaq was there to kind of put him in check. And then by the time Shaq left, and he still had a legendary coach with Phil Jackson. And by that point, he had already learned all of those types of things. He's also from a military family, so structure has always been there for him. But, a lot of the other time, I feel like that's a big problem with the esports is there's no structure until you get to the pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah.
That's true. And it would be hard to implement structure early on because you start, say, like there's a coaching program for kids when they, are 10, 13, similar to like football. The games change like on a yearly basis. So it's like basketball stays the same all the time. Football stays the same all the time. The game doesn't change. Video games do. So it's like it would be really hard to implement structure and coaching. It'd
Well,
be
not necessarily. I think
like how would that work?
Yeah, I think the coaching is different though, because you're thinking like, okay, well, hey, I got football practice, and everyone's expected, okay, you need to spend an hour to 2 hours doing football practice after school, and that's acceptable. However, spending 2 or 3 hours playing Fortnite because I need to practice doesn't seem to be as socially acceptable yet. Although if you wanted to be at that level, kind of would take that, if not more, because yes, you do have to worry about patch notes or certain things change, or especially in League of Legends, like a math game, you have to know what players have the better buffs or who counters out who. So there is a lot more benefit and a lot more math that goes into the esports side of it that definitely by far I think can equal or even surpass the mental capacity of just doing a physical sport or a physical sport. But yeah, I think it's more or less of you're saying like, okay, I don't want to send my kid to play Fortnite for 3 hours after school or an hour.
Well, I got to say this. Video games still have a bad stigma with parents, especially the older ones. If I would have told my dad that I was going to go practice playing a video game, he would have laughed me out of the room. If not worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to change. I mean, used to you could say, I'm going to go, I want to be go develop software for a video game company. And again, my dad would laugh me out of the room, but now he's like, why didn't you go do this? You'd be making bank now.
Me? You told me how to play. Told me how to play football.
It's all your fault, Dad.
Like the social stigma of it, and if there was a way to have a healthy balance, do you think that would change in the near future to where kids are going to be able to be like justify like, hey, I'm going to play this, and like if there were legit like leagues that they can join into that necessarily weren't pro leagues, but I mean, like you were saying, like they grew up playing Pop Warner or something like that. Are there going to be Pop Warner esport leagues across the U.S. for that to change?
I know that the local comic book store here, which is not much better, but they're holding more and more tournaments for different teams to go into their place and do these tournaments. But as long as there's guys like me playing video games, it's going to have a bad stigma.
Like, how crazy would that look like though? Like, because if you were to have like a bowling league, for example, no, but for real though, like you're doing bowling. Bowling's not a very physical, strenuous sport either. But I mean, it's definitely more of like a rec. Okay, maybe you can hurt your forearm if you don't stretch properly. But let's be real.
I bowl on Wednesday nights. Leave me alone.
Damn it, you don't bowl. Bullshit.
Yes, I do. Swear to God, Wednesday nights.
You got your own. What's the freaking? I forget the brand name of the shoes.
Brunswick.
Brunswick. You got your own Brunswicks, boy. You got your own.
No, I use a different brand. I use SSTs.
How many times have you watched Big Lebowski?
I haven't.
Then you're not a real bowler.
What about
Get
a
outta here.
Kingpin?
Get out of here.
Fake bowler.
Fake bowler. Once you watch.
Poser.
Yeah.
I go-
poser.
I love bowling, but I am so damn bad at it.
I go and I have booze. That's what I drink.
Sounds like a good.
I was in a
good
bowling
time.
league when I was a kid.
I've done it. My whole family's done it, and I got into it as a kid, and I usually used to do 2 to 3. One year I did 4 leagues, but this year I went down to 1 league because I was just like, I don't want to spend my life in a bowling alley. And I grew up, and my tolerance is a little bit higher, so it costs a little bit more to drink.
We kind of covered these other questions that were on there, so I'm like almost running out of stuff. Let me go back to the other ones there. But it was one of the questions was like, how do you help your child with in-game video game bullying? We don't really let them kind of play some of them with voice chat, so it's kind of non-existent to an extent.
Tell them not to suck. Get better.
Get better. I'm the one who's bullying her. Brindley, come on. We're supposed to drop on Tilted Towers. Where are you?
Get good.
Yeah.
I let my son play in voice chat though. He's just as much of a troll as the rest of them.
See,
Yeah.
that's where you teach them.
Let's see.
Be a troll. They tell you you're gonna fuck your mother. You tell them no, you're not.
What do you teach him to troll with?
I don't teach him to troll. He's just a little bit naturally a troll. Like a lot of people will say he sounds like a little girl, because he's still got that little voice, and so, they'll say something mean to him, and he'll just fire right back with like, oh yeah, do you feel do you feel special for beating up on a little kid? And he just like goes straight for the like realism of it, and usually they shut up, and I'm like, where did you like learn to do that? He just like he's like, yeah, that's what I thought. Or like if someone says something to him, he'll be like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm gay, or yeah, I'm whatever, and he'll just like roll with it and be like, yeah, whatever. What else do you got? So
I taught my kid how to teabag and taught him to say dip dip tater chip.
I've never heard that. I've never been told that either. That's pretty funny. That's hilarious.
Teabagging. The best favorite part of Halo.
Passive aggressive.
I was trying to get Brindley to troll the chat last night, but she kind of did it naturally. And I go, hey, which one do you want to hang out with? And she's like, none of them. And I was like, okay, good job. You trolled them all. But yeah, I was trying to get her to say like, you're a pleb, or like you're a beta. Say you're a beta, Brindley, and she won't say it. She's like, no, Dad, I'm sorry. So it's gonna be hard for her to get on the troll bandwagon. She'll probably repeat whatever freaking Dennis says, and they'll make me mad, and then she'll do it even more.
It's gonna be great. Just got to come up with the perfect thing.
Let's see. Do you guys have any rules in place with video games in your household with video games at all?
Like when I play, and this isn't really a rule, but it's definitely something that I very strongly believe in. I don't let my kids win at shit.
Yeah.
Like I beat them in everything, like, and make sure that they know like how far away from a win they were.
That's so mean.
Fucking smoked. You're that
Yeah,
guy.
I mean,
You're that guy
yeah,
that
like
has like 4+4 hands in Uno. You've got the last 4 cards are +4s or draw 4s. And
Yes.
you slap all 4 of them down and you're like, pick them up. And then you go out and they're just pissed off.
If
I think
Dennis
if it
had-
was me, I'd lose it.
Yeah, if Keystone had the ability to do the like the Dave Chappelle skit with the Make-A-Wish kid where he's playing with the kid and he's like schooling him. He's like,
okay, hold on, I got a funny story about that. So that actually did happen. Like when that listen to this is it's still funny. I don't care how bad it is. All right. So I was working at the Children's Hospital in Dallas at the time when that show was like super relevant, and I was playing NBA Live 06, the one with Tracy McGrady on the cover. 06, 07, something like that. And there was a kid that was in the ICU and he was waiting on a heart transplant.
mm-hmm.
And every time I go down there and mess with him, he would always tell me he was going to school me in NBA Live. And, we kind of went back and forth. And the kid was like 14 or 15. So it's not like he was like 6 or something. I was just a complete ass.
Yeah.
But and I told him I wasn't going to go easy on him. And I was destroying this kid with Tracy McGrady, just dunking all over the place. And when his nurse came in to like introduce herself for the evening shift, who I knew, I was like, oh, quick, get in here. I need a witness. She was like, you need a witness? I was like, for this, murder that I'm about to commit or something, whatever the Chappelle Show thing was. And since the show was relevant, the kid knew exactly what it was and he was playing along with it and everything. But yeah, I definitely did that to a kid in the ICU at a children's hospital. But my point of just destroying kids and letting them know that I'm destroying them is like, at some point, my son is going to beat me at something. I don't know when that's going to be. But when that happens, it's going to be the sweetest victory ever. And I will have no choice but to roll over, you know what I mean? And pass the torch. Because it's going to happen at some point. It's not going to be today, though. It's not going to be tomorrow.
I do that,
But at some point.
I would
Yeah,
play with my
yeah,
dad.
Right.
I played NBA Jam with my dad, and I would beat him down so bad. I felt bad. I'd actually would throw some matches sometimes.
I'd never
Aw.
It
throw
was
a
just,
match.
dude, he was so happy when he won. I was like, oh. I was like, I felt good.
You got to
to
earn
see
them
him.
W's. Earn them W's.
Whatever.
So when I was a
I
kid
was
playing
so
on the NES, we had Super All-Stars Baseball 2. It's every time I'd hit a home run against my brother, he'd punch me in the arm. So I got a real tough arm because I kept hitting home runs on it. So I don't. Every once in a while, I'll give him a little bit of slack, but then I just turn around and just beat him again anyway. I let him get close, and then but it's usually Mario games I beat him at left and right. But there's when they beat you, they'll remember it for the rest of their life.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen at some point, and like I said, I don't know when it is, because like the main thing that we play like competitively, like Smash, he's just gonna get destroyed. It's not even gonna be fair or fun, so that's not fun to play, versus. But one of the big ones that we will play is like Mario Kart, and we'll play like teams in battle mode. Every once in a while he'll get a win, but he usually wants to be in my team. But if we're racing or something like that, it's not gonna be close. And I don't care how many blue shells that he gets, I'm still going to destroy him. And, he knows this, but one day he's going to practice up enough. We played, he got one of those little mini Sega Genesis consoles for Christmas, last Christmas. And he was over there playing like Mortal Kombat or something with, one of his friends, and he was going and he wanted me to come in there and play. So I immediately jumped on there. First thing I did was reset it, put in the blood code, and showed them that, and they thought that was super cool. And then, proceeded to do Sub-Zero's fatality, where you're standing there after the match, holding the dude's head with the spinal cord hanging down. And then I dropped the controller and walked away. It was kind of like a mic drop. And like, at this point, those two kids in that room think that I am an absolute god, because I went in there, just put on a clinic and ripped this dude's head right off of his shoulders and then walked away like nothing happened. Where Yeah, exactly. Like, and they had never seen anything like it. They didn't even have the blood coat on, and yeah, I'm never gonna forget that. This dude right here, the king. If you need a refresher course, let me know. I'll be back.
Are there games that you guys like playing with your kids, or plan on playing with your kids, or something that you want to teach them about games?
Played Kingdom Hearts with them.
Did they like it?
They loved it.
The only one I've
because
ever
they're
played
from-
is Rocket League.
They like Kingdom Hearts because we're actually my dad and I are taking them to the 50th anniversary of Disney. So they've got their piggy banks and everything set up that they can save for it. So anything Disney right now, they're all pumped up and everything. So, but no, like my son will play, like I said earlier, World of Warcraft a little bit when I'll sit here, and I don't give him my headset because my friends that are in TeamSpeak are all retards. So I don't let them talk around them because I know my son's gonna come back and be like, "What's a cuck?" or something, and I'm not ready to address that or.
The one
Those are
game,
the tough
Do you
questions.
just show them a picture of yourself? Oh!
The one series I
nickname, kid.
now we're just gonna start
the one series I want to introduce to my kid, because I'm a big Batman fan and so is he. I want to introduce him to the Arkham series.
Oh, my sons watch me play those. Yeah.
I love Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill being that's another topic altogether.
Mhm.
But that series of games like epitomizes what Batman is. So I really want to get him into that, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, Brindley likes the Lego movies like crazy right now, but there isn't really. She doesn't have the wherewithal to kind of control that game because I have it for the Wii U. However, they did love watching me play Spider-Man, so that one was a fun game, and she actually learned how to swing around the city with Spider-Man, so she likes playing Spider-Man just to web around from time to time. But Michaela would literally be like, Spidey, and give me the controller because she wanted to watch me play it. So I was like, yes, I'm doing something right with the
Aw.
second one. So I do love my second one, despite what I said earlier. Was it on stream or off stream?
I think it was on stream.
Damn it. I do love her. She's pretty sweet.
I think. No, maybe it was off.
Maybe it was off. I may have said some not so nice things about Michaela. Sorry.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding. But yeah. Rocket League, you got to find him some other games.
He's really good at Rocket League. Like the whole reason he really even started playing games like seriously was because he was playing Rocket League and like somebody messaged him on PlayStation and I didn't even see it until a couple months later and they were like asking him to be a part of some league that like travels around the US or whatever. And I was like, I didn't know if it was real at first. So like I had a buddy who has like a big Rocket League community on Facebook, and I like asked this community, like, you know, is this thing legit or whatever? And like the person who actually sent the message replied, they're like, yeah, we're legit. Like we have a professional team that like travels for Rocket League. And I was like, oh, because my son is 7 at the time, and he was like getting recruited for Rocket League. So then that totally like made him like. You know, he had learned how to read by then, so he like read what they said, and he was like, "Oh, like." He started taking it more serious. So, but now it's all about Fortnite. I can't get him to play Rocket League, even though he's really good at it.
Yeah. You know how like they have like sad like career-ending injuries in college where they blow out an ACL or something like that? Can you imagine like a kid in high school blowing out his thumb? He's like, I'm done. I can't play anymore. I'm just kidding.
Don't joke about that. I had a swollen tendon in my thumb that I had to rest for like. Actually, I was born with 2 tendons right here, and I had to have a surgery to get one of them removed. But they were both swollen so much that I couldn't move my thumb. But I still played anyway. But it was
Dude.
I thought the only
Dude.
Go ahead, let him have it.
That's too real, man. That's too real. That's too much. That's too much Nintendo, man. Like, that's too much.
Well, it could have been something else, but I'm not gonna mention that.
Oh my gosh. Moving
Squeezing
along.
too hard, man.
Oh my gosh. Like the damn it. Whatever. I don't even care. I don't even care anymore.
What? Seems
no,
like you care.
well, the only injury I thought you get from like Nintendo was like Nintendo thumb, and that was because like if you cut your nails too short and then you're playing, and that was what I'm saying. Like, you ever do that where you cut your nails too short and then you're playing like that shortly after that, and you get like that little feeling where your thumbnails whatever. Well, what was
I know what
Nintendo
you're talking
thumb?
about, but I thought
I
Nintendo
have
thumb was like
fake
when your
nails.
thumb cramped up.
No.
Yeah, you got some sensitive thumbs, princess.
Whatever. I hate you guys.
Isolated incident.
I'm never doing this show ever again. No one makes fun of me. I make fun of everybody else. That's how it goes. No.
Were you watching The View when you were getting your nails done too?
God damn it.
Was.
May have been on, but whatever. It's cool. I'm secure. I'm secure with myself. I have 3 girls or 2 girls. I might as well be 3. I might as well grow a vagina too. It's 2019. That can happen.
Just wait. November Frozen 2 comes out.
They're already on that kick right now. Are there any songs or anything that you guys have to deal with of playing on repeat that you guys dread? Like Baby Shark for me?
We had Baby Shark. It's still popular here.
What is that? What? It's a Taylor Swift song.
Ah,
The Look What You Made Me Do, Taylor Swift.
Oh,
He freaking loves it. And I look at him, I'm like, are you sure that's the song you want to play? He's
Your
like,
mom's
yeah.
calling you out.
I'm like, I'm going to give you one more chance. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay.
Call him Beta. Be like, you Beta. You're
I
like,
question that boy sometimes, but I don't judge him. If he wants to listen to Taylor
That
Swift,
boy ain't right.
I'll tell you what,
that
Bobby.
boy ain't right. That
Oh,
boy ain't right.
that boy comes home with unicorns. I'm like, gosh dang it, Bobby, take him back. No.
Oh my gosh, we were at his Christmas party in class, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a good mom. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna come to the Christmas party. I'm gonna bring snacks. Go all out. Get mom points. And we're all sitting there. All the kids are drawing or coloring reindeer.
Mhm.
All these little kids just casually coloring reindeer, normal reindeer colors, and then my kids sit there like rainbow reindeer, and like drawing a rainbow reindeer, and I'm like, okay, and he's like singing it, rainbow reindeer, and I'm like, okay, yeah, rainbow reindeer, we'll rock it out. And he's like doing his whole little tune to it. I'm like, yeah, we're drawing the rainbow reindeer.
he's just creative.
Y'all ever heard of
Something.
FGTV?
Mm-mm.
It's a YouTube channel.
Mm-mm.
Well, it's something that my kids spend a lot of time watching on YouTube, and they've got a couple of music videos, and there's one about partying in the elevator, and both of my kids will sit there. I could call them in here right now and just say party in the elevator, and they'll both start dancing around and doing all kinds of stupid stuff. They absolutely love that shit. When he's not playing on his tablet, Roblox or Fortnite on the Switch, he's definitely watching FGTV on YouTube. And there's a couple of dances that go along with it, and yeah, it's a real big thing. And I don't even like elevators anymore because of that song. I'll take my fat ass to the stairs because I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah. Brinley always wants to go on the escalators whenever she sees it. Or stairs. I'm like, come on, girl. Like, we're not going that way. We're over at South by in downtown. She's like, Daddy, I want to go on the escalator. I'm like, we have to have a pass. Like, luckily they did, so I didn't fully know anything. So you have to have a pass to go up there. We don't have that pass. Sorry, bye. And then the other fun part of South by is when she's like, we're in like the 3rd level of the garage at the Hilton over there, right across from the convention center. Get out to the parking lot, and she's, Daddy, it's a skunk. I was like, no, that's not skunk, that's weed. It's like, Daddy, it smells like a skunk. And I was like, yep, that is a skunk. You are right. Oh man,
The stickiest of the icky.
it's true. It's true. Well, that thing I don't know. I'm good with tonight calling it a wrap. How you guys feeling? You guys good? You got a couple more topics? You guys have some stuff you want to talk about, or?
How do y'all? Maybe I missed this part, but how do y'all feel about movies and what the kids watch and stuff like that? Like, what do you follow the rating system? Like, for example, my sister had. She still has him, but he's 13 now. But it was like 3 months before he turned 13. And the whole day after this incident happened, his dad was going on about it, and his mom was going on about it, and yelling at me and my mom, and yelling at him, and getting on to him. And we were in the living room. He was on his DS, wasn't even paying attention to us at all. And 3 months away from being 13, and we were watching Suicide Squad, me and my mom. And they just completely railed on this kid because he wasn't 13, and he was present for this movie. Wasn't allowed to watch a bunch of the Marvel movies because they're PG-13, all that kind of stuff. And now that he's 13, it's okay. And I am like the complete opposite. I took my kid to see Deadpool in the theater when he was 4. I offered up whatever was in there, like Shrek or whatever else was in there. Or I can't remember what movie, but he didn't want to do that. Well, and here's the best part. So I'm sitting in there, and I was like, "Yeah, I need 2 tickets for Deadpool and a booster seat." And it felt kind of weird. But I'm sitting in the theater with him, and he's eating candy and stuff. And basically, whenever the sex scenes were happening, I'm just kind of distracting him because that's the part that I don't want him to be desensitized to that. The violence and stuff I don't care about because it's a comic book and he gets that. But like sex, it's a little bit. That's where I draw the line. But like right before the movie started, I got a tap on the shoulder, and I'm expecting this the whole time, somebody to judge my parenting. And I turn over my shoulder, and there's a guy there, and he was like, "I'm glad I'm not the only one who brought my kid in there." And he's got his little girl sitting next to him. And I was like, yes, yes.
I own Deadpool, Deadpool 2, and Venom all on my FiOS system, and my kids have both watched them. And they asked me to watch Venom lately on a regular basis. So
Venom's not as bad compared to the
Venom and Deadpool are 2 totally different things, though.
Oh no, I get that.
Venom still, like, I got grief from my son's father for showing him. He hasn't seen Deadpool for the sex reasons, and that's really only where my limit is, like violence, gore, stuff like that. I don't really shield him from it, but Venom he did see, and I got grief about it.
I only got
like, man, I should have taken him to see Deadpool.
I'm
gonna get this kind of grief.
They watched all 3. And I only got, and it was funny because they were like, they questioned more, or my kid's mother questioned me more on Venom than Deadpool, which threw me off because
she's seen Deadpool.
Yes, but the thing is, she was attacking the language aspect, and I'm like, the guy's jerking off to a unicorn, and you're questioning me about Venom because Venom bites somebody's head off, but the guy's fapping to a unicorn, and you're gonna question me about Venom. And I mean, the word "fuck" in a unicorn is more important, or word "fuck" in a getting your head bit off. But I just said I really didn't give a shit because my daughter will look at me if I say "fuck" and go, "That's a naughty word," and I'll go, "Yep, you're right, sorry," and then I stop. True. But so my kids know, and obviously they're not gonna go around biting people's heads off, but I don't really give a shit.
Well, I guess I use a site called Common Sense Media. It just lets me, if I hadn't seen it before, it lets me know what to expect. And my son's just he wanted to get into the Marvel stuff because everybody was watching the Avengers and the Infinity War and Black Panther, and everybody was dressing up for Black Panther for Halloween. So I was like, well, I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. So we started with Captain America, and we're working our way up. He hadn't made it to Infinity War yet, but we still got some more. I think we still got the Guardians movies. I hadn't watched the Guardians yet, but we try to explain to him what's going, because I kind of got a photogenic memory when it comes to movies. I can tell you when it's going to happen and all that. So I explained to him what's going to happen ahead of time, and it's like, okay, if you say this in school, you're going to get in trouble. So, or if you do this in school, you're going to get in trouble. So, I look at it like that, just make sure that there's nothing too over the top or something that he won't understand, and then I'll let him watch it.
Yeah, I get called out if I say poop. It's like, you know, poop is a bad word, Daddy. I was like,
Yeah, shut up. That sucks. All that stuff I
yeah.
get.
So she doesn't say that. We don't like we don't even say shut up. Like, she hears someone else like say that's not very nice, Daddy. She's saying not nice things, and then it's like we're not supposed to say that. It's like you're right. It's like, but people will say that stuff. So be better. No. And then with movie wise, maybe I need to expose them to that so that way they leave me alone when I want to. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, she's 4, so there's not really much we can really, you know, experiment
Yeah, I
with.
think 4 is a little young.
Well, because
for
even
some
then, like
stuff.
the real life Beauty and the Beast compared to the animated one is different because then it kind of has like the Gaston dancing with men, but she doesn't notice that stuff yet. You know what I mean? And so I'm not gonna like point it out to her either.
Disney movies should not be made into real life movies. It's a slap in the face to the world.
Hold on, what does being 4 and men dancing with men have to do with each other? Like, I don't understand.
As far as like, I'm not gonna have like the people like some women kiss women, dear, and some men kiss men. Like, I'm not gonna cover that. Like, I mean, there's no point in going over that at 4, in my opinion.
I mean, it depends on the situation. Because my dad is gay, and it's just kind of a normal thing that, you know, guys can be with guys, girls can be with girls, and there's boy girls. My wife's like best friend is gay, and she's always over there, you know, with her girlfriend and all that kind of stuff. And you know, she's got a kid, so like, you know, the kids are similar ages, so they play. So it's not anything that I really ever considered in a movie having to explain, I guess. That's just kind of one of those things that's just, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing to question, I guess. They're not, to an extent, because my son did ask something about like, you know, grandpa's friend that lives with him. And I was like, bro, they're a little bit more than friends, man. Did you notice there's only one bedroom in that apartment?
Yeah.
They cuddle, bud.
Yeah.
I mean, her extent of knowing the relationships and stuff like that, like, she doesn't get that. Because, I mean, when she wants to cuddle, she's like, Daddy, I want to cuddle with you forever. And it's like, she even, like, dropped the husband line on me. She's like, I want you to be my husband. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen, baby. And so I'm like...
They don't understand quite yet.
She doesn't understand it. So even if I explain it, it's like, it's going to be wasted, even if I explain, you know, that this happened. So there's no point in doing it. Even if she asks about it, it would be just a surface answer anyways, until she's a little bit more mature, I guess, to kind of say, or where she would actually, it would sink in. So
Understand like relationship dynamics and
Yeah.
stuff.
So how do you feel about, are they doing it in your town as well? Because like AISD, they just came out with the whole thing where they're going to teach kids about relationship dynamics and things like that. So rather than just have one sex talk at like 5th grade, they're going to start having talks with them starting in a 2nd or 3rd grade and get more progressively into it and in depth all the way up to like 7th grade. And by the time 7th grade happens, that's when they're talking about like full on relationships, you know, genders and things like that. You know, basically identities and things like that. But, you know, as far as like, you know, in 3rd grade and all that stuff, they're not talking about that. They're talking about, you know, what body parts are, you know, bad touches and appropriate relationships with adults. And then they get more and more into it before they actually get to it. And I understand that it's an AISD thing. So it's an Austin thing, and Austin is a little bit more liberal than literally everywhere else in Texas.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it was something that I saw on a voting ballot and I was really excited for, because I think like the sex education in this state is in dire need of reform, with, you know, teen pregnancy rates and all that kind of stuff. Like all that. How do you feel about what age kids are exposed to what kind of knowledge. For everybody, you know, I'm not just asking you, but
Mhm.
They have something like that here in Georgia, but I don't think Georgia is much different than Texas. You know,
Yeah.
I guess Atlanta would be our Austin, I guess. Um, they do something like that, that they let the kids know that, you know, the, I guess the bad places or whatever, but make sure if somebody's, you know, doing that to you, you can tell somebody without without getting in trouble, stuff like that. But other than that, I don't think they go too much into the relationships or anything like that. Georgia's is backwards.
Yeah. I think the sex education part, as far as like teaching them their bodies and stuff like that, Brindley already knows what her parts are. Um, she she said to us very clearly the other day, I'm like, who's allowed to touch you know your vagina, or who's allowed to touch your booty, and so she's aware of the terminology, because I think I heard like somewhere that there was like a case where they couldn't convict this guy because she had a nickname for the parents had nicknames for their private parts, and so they couldn't use that in the court of law uh, to convict him, because it was like a nickname, so they couldn't prove it was the vagina that he touched or something like that. I don't know if I have to fact check that, but don't. It's something I vaguely heard my wife speaking to me tell me that this is why we need to make sure that they're aware of their parts, so that way, like, no, he touched my penis, and so or he touched my vagina and stuff like that. So yeah. So
Question:
she knows that part, but yeah.
Did you say, Keystone, that they're with the way they're breaking it up? That I heard, like in seventh grade, are they teaching? You said identity.
like that there are trans people. This is what trans people are, and they identify. They're not like advocating for it or not advocating for it, but they're basically just trying to normalize same-sex relationships and trans people and things like that. They're trying to normalize it, so it's not like, so basically, you know, when I was growing up, and I'm sure when a lot of you were growing up, you know, to call somebody gay was like the ultimate cut down. You know what I mean? Like, you're gay, and it's like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, you don't come back from that.
No.
But you know what I mean? And that's part of the whole stigma of being gay. But to try to normalize it to where it's not like a cut down, you know what I mean? To call somebody gay would be like to call them a boy. Well, I guess that's not a great analogy, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, so it's not, and that's what the goal is there. That's the intention, is to try to explain to them that it does exist. There are people who, you know, are in same-sex relationships. It's not like an unheard of thing that doesn't happen or anything like that, so that they're not all shocked, you know, when something like that happens, and they're not like pointing at, like, you know, oh my God, there's two girls over there. Oh my God, there's two guys over there. That type of a thing.
They're just trying to cut down like the shaming of it and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is that's understandable. It's just, it's hard to like, with the whole thing about people. Oh, what do you identify as? And are you checking an application that says I'm not identifying as a boy or a girl, which is a load of shit. But like, you're gonna do that to kids that are that young that really don't need to go to that. Or if you go to biology class and they're teaching you reproduction or anything like that, and you're talking male female, and now you're trying to go to health class and they're teaching, oh, look at this, what do you identify as? Well, if you're making a kid, usually female. It's like, how the hell do you confuse a seventh grader with that? And it's just,
yeah, not as a biological standpoint, just as it's a thing.
a social
And
step.
by the time, and by the time he gets to seventh grade, you know what I mean? I mean, that's in 5 years. I mean, think about what 5 years ago looked like compared to today, and what it's going to be. You know what I mean? 5 years from now, it'll be you know what I mean? Like, what's going on in the school district, I feel like, will become, not everywhere in the country, but I feel like it'll be closer to the norm. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen. You know what I mean? The same thing with like the same-sex marriages, like whether or not you agree with it or anything, it's going to happen. It's going to be normalized, and you can either be, you know, which side of history are you going to be on basically with it is kind of my whole thought process behind it.
My son will probably come to me before school even touches it, so we'll have to explain it to him before he get you know. I mean, schools here are usually on the back side of the curve when they're trying to teach these kids stuff. So my kid he already know by the time he gets to 7th grade because we'll be done talk to him about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if families would take, you know, the appropriate thing and teach their kid of what they're comfortable with, but actually teach it to them. Obviously, by like just saying abstinence is, you know, just don't do it. That's not going to be the end all, right? So that's not working at this present time.
That's the
And-
talk I got was abstinence is key. Use a condom if you do it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't get any talk about
See,
identities or anything.
well, in Texas, there was no use a condom. There was none of this kind of stuff.
it was just
It was
abstinence.
abstinence only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep your knees closed.
Yeah, they taught some of that stuff though, but they didn't really go in depth of like the, you know, the risk involved with some of the stuff, or why you shouldn't be doing this, you know, or what sort of consequences can happen by being, you know, sexually active and stuff like that. So I think if
Yeah.
they went over that more and legit had like conversation with that, that would make a lot of the teen pregnancy go down, as well as potentially you'll probably see abortion go down, and it'll tackle a lot more issues and stuff like that. You know, with having two daughters, I mean, it's definitely going to be difficult for me to be able to explain what they're going to experience with some of the stuff, but at least I can bring the mindset of what the guy is going to try and do or want to do, to help equip them in that way, to where they can kind of, you know, make those decisions when that time comes right for them.
If it's been said, I've said it. So yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. But
So
Right. It's like walking the line of being just a straight up hypocrite or like actually trying to teach them a lesson.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like at some point, my kid's going to come to me talking about like smoking weed or drinking or something like that. And I can't just straight up lie to them. You know what I mean? Like,
How dare you? I've never partaken of the devil's lettuce.
Yeah,
Damn you,
you know, that's a conversation that'll happen when it happens. But, you know, I'm not super. I had a friend who has a kid who's, he is with his grandparents for this school year for a million reasons. But his grandfather found two pipes and some still in the wrapper, but like clearly non for smoking, you know, cigars.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Not fit for actual smoking. Like they're clearly going to be used for blunts plus the pipes, and they hadn't been used. So he was hitting me up about that. And he's like, I don't even know how to handle this situation. He was like, I still smoke weed all the time. Like I can't really tell the kid that he can't, like, or that it's bad. You know what I mean? Like it's bad. Don't do it. You know what I mean? So like he has to walk that line as well with like telling him, you know, when you're old enough or something like that. I mean, it's you know, difficult to, you know, to not be the hypocrite in that situation.
I'm already training her. I go, here, Brinley, you want some beer? It's like, Daddy, I can't have beer. It's like, damn straight. I was like,
Damn straight. I've had to have that conversation because my parents own a bar. And back earlier in his days when he first started learning to talk, I worked there. And so he was like around liquor and beer, and he knows more about liquor and beer than any child his age does. And like now, when I take him to other restaurants, like he's super friendly, so he like tries to talk to all the waitresses and stuff as like he's at my parents' restaurant. So I have to like reel him back in. I'm like, no, Avery, you cannot go behind the bar. You cannot tell this lady to hurry up. You cannot like. He
Hurry up,
just
I need a
acts like the
double
place
stat,
is his
woman.
own.
I like you already.
And sometimes he'll be like, yeah, I want to order a beer. And I'm like, no, you do not want to order a beer, Avery. You're making me look very bad right now. I know you're joking. They don't know you're joking.
Child Protective Services isn't going to know you're joking.
But
Stop
like
it.
Keystone, you forgot the cheese.
He's so embarrassed. He's like, can I go back and grab a fork or something? Or he'll like walk around. I'm like, Avery, get your ass back here. This is not my parents' restaurant. Like, you can't do this. You can't go behind the bar. You can't like go get whatever you need. So he's like learning that. And my dad drinks Crown and Coke, so sometimes he thinks it's funny to be like, yeah, I want a Crown and Coke. And the waitress like looks at me like either she has a sense of humor or she doesn't. It's like, how does that child know what a Crown and Coke is? Like, I don't know. I didn't do it.
Yeah, there's grown-up drinks over here. And you know, we've tried to tell my daughter that there's alcohol in this, you can't have it. And like her response is always like, I love alcohol. And that doesn't sound good. You know, it's cute when she does it like, hey, no, you can't have any of this Dr. Pepper. It has caffeine in it. And you know, when she's like, I love caffeine, like that's funny. But when she's like, I love alcohol, I'm like, you're 4, shut up.
Let's get chocolate wasted. Yeah. So
That's funny.
But trying to give them a sip of beer or trying to give them a sip of wine, that backfired on both of them. Neither one of them were like, ew, that's so gross. You know, they weren't all about it either, but they weren't like spit it out gross. Like that was the plan that I had in my head, was they're going to spit it out and they're never going to want it. But no, definitely didn't work.
I'll tell you this, my personal story. We were grilling a whole hog on the barbecue. And we were lighting firecrackers 4th of July. So instead of buying lighters, my dad bought cigars. So you keep a cigar lit all day long, as long as you don't puff on it. Well, I thought I was big and I was 8, 9 at the time. Can't remember. So I was going around puffing on a cigar. I got sick as a dog. I've never touched a cigar or a cigarette the rest of my life. I puked my guts up. So if you want to keep your kid from smoking, no offense, Giovanni, or vaping or whatever you want to call it, but
she jewels, man. She's a jeweler.
just give them that cigar and let them go to town. And once they start puking, that they may not ever touch it again. So
kind of like the story of like what, getting them hecka drunk or something like that, like getting drunk to the where they puke, and then they'll never
that happened to me.
Again.
Dad tried that with me. I was 13 and me, him, and my uncle hit a bottle of vodka, and I got so drunk my knee went through the glass stove. My mom was out of town. She came back. She was pretty pissed. And I passed out in the bathroom with no pants on and puke all over the place. And that didn't teach me anything at all. That was just the start of a drinking career. That was all that was.
Yeah.
just think if you did that now, you'd have a dick drought on your face.
I'd be right over there to draw it too.
Rightfully so. Yeah, you can't even get mad at people. Why'd you draw a dick in my face? Like, well, I mean,
why didn't you draw it bigger, or why didn't you put more veins on it? You're mad at the penmanship of it. You're like, this didn't look realistic
Not
enough.
Proportionate.
Yeah. Why were the balls way bigger?
This is what your tiny dick looks like this.
I guess this is another story. Would you tell your kids your embarrassing drunken stories or anything like that?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Now, no. In the future, yes.
Oh, yeah, not now. No.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'll tell them all the glorious fun I had.
I think to an extent for me, but like I went way past, like I've had a drinking problem and have had to stop drinking because of it. So like there's a point to where it's like more embarrassing, like instead of like badges of honor, you know what I mean? Like I can't, like there's funny ones. Like one time I was eating corn pops when I was drunk, and like I really like butter. And for some reason I thought like I'm going to cut a piece of this butter and put it in the corn pops. So I like cut a few things of butter and like put them in the corn pops with the milk.
Oh.
And yeah, no, that's exactly that's exactly how it was too. Like, doesn't matter how drunk you get, butter inside corn pops. Just something sounded right about corn pops and butter. I don't know. So that's a funny story I'll tell them. But like, hey, I totaled 3 cars. Like, that's probably, you know, once they get older, maybe. But yeah, butter in the corn pops, definitely.
I had an alcoholic tell me one time he would first thing in the morning when he woke up, he would drink a beer and then chase it with milk.
That's disgusting.
That's
pretty gross.
The breakfast
Yeah,
of
that's
champions right
not-
there. What if it's a wheat beer? That's like Frosted Flakes, right?
No,
Ooh.
Budweiser, just straight Budweiser right out the bottle.
Jeez,
Good old Bud Heavy.
I don't know, a Budweiser latte much. Ugh.
Ooh.
I don't know. I've done some pretty stupid stuff on stream. I don't know how they're gonna react. Do you think your kids will react? How do you think they'll react if they're able to see some of your VODs or some clips of your stream? Do you think your kids would be proud or embarrassed?
The only one that's really necessarily embarrassing, well, that could be considered, is when I dressed up as a gingerbread man.
Yeah,
But that was for cancer, or for a children's hospital.
yeah.
So I looked retarded, but it was for a good cause, so I guess it balances itself out.
So you can't like make fun of it. It's like
Well, you can make fun of me all you want. It doesn't bother me.
yeah, but then you're like making fun of like raising money for cancer. So-
Yeah.
it's like
You did a good thing, Dad, but you look stupid as all hell. Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, my
I'm
kids
less
gonna watch.
worried about my son seeing it and more worried about my son's father seeing it.
Uh-oh. Would
Yeah.
he like stalk you on the or not stalk, I guess. Would he troll you in the chat?
No, I just feel he's really judgy. So
So
I
he
don't know.
would he call you a cam girl?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have that type of stream, so I don't know what he would say. But I just whatever it is, I don't want to hear it.
I would be like, if he ever said anything, I'd be like, well, thank God you didn't find my Camster stream. Just out of fun, just see if he said anything about that. Either he says, what's that? Or you know deep down he'd be like, what? And you'd be like, you're a fucking pervert.
Yeah, you know, he knows damn well what it is.
My kids are gonna ask me, "Why were you doing this with no viewers?"
Don't teach him what a viewer is. Then they'll never ask.
True. So I upload the VOD to YouTube, and then they'll see that at least 10 people watch it, and it's probably just me watching it 10 times. So
Have to know that.
you can pay T-Series to watch the videos, right? Oh wait, no, they don't get as much views. Never mind. Yeah. Would you let your kids watch PewDiePie?
I don't
Yeah,
see why not.
I've never. I don't even know who he is. I've heard the name, but I've never watched him.
We're making you sub to PewDiePie right now. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
go
kidding.
do it right now. What are you doing?
We're gonna make a big difference.
I think he's already behind now, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if
No,
it's
he
at
came
the-
back up. He was at
Oh, he did?
35,000. Yeah, I checked it like
In forever.
It's been going back
I
and
checked
forth.
a little while ago, but yeah, he was up 35,000 earlier. But yeah, he was down over 100 at some point.
Really?
It was 500 when I saw it.
I
was
saw
like,
when it was
oh,
like
no, it's
200
all good.
difference, but he was positive, and that's when I subbed to him on one of
Yeah.
my other accounts.
See, you made a difference.
I did.
Although some people think he's a Nazi, and promoting his stuff is now.
How is he a
saying that
Nazi?
He made the Jew joke one time.
Did he?
He didn't even make a Jew joke. What
Yeah.
he did is he used Fiverr, and then you're wrong. Drop some mic. He made a joke. He used Fiverr, and he sent it to like a third world country, and he didn't think anyone would do it, and so they held up a sign and said, "What, death to all Jews" or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Well, that
that's
was
what it
one of them, but he made a Jew joke a while back too.
Oh,
But it wasn't even a
okay.
real bad Jew joke. It wasn't like a Holocaust joke or anything. It was
Yeah.
a mild one. But that with that Fiverr thing, with this thing, with him dropping the N word on the bridge, you know what I mean? Like all these little
You got
things.
the
and-
N word?
oh yeah,
It
on
was
the
during
stream.
a live stream.
Like a
It was
hard
live-
R or a
Hard
soft
R.
Yeah.
Hard R.
I didn't know that.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
cannot.
hard R. And you like when he did it too, it was like immediate and total regret. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what have I done?
There goes my channel.
Yeah, that was that. Like anybody else would have been sunk by that. Like, you know what I mean? Like even if you're like Donald Sterling or something like that, you have to sell your basketball team. But like PewDiePie's big enough to where, you know, he made it.
Oh,
I think the only three people have recovered from that. It's been PewDiePie, it was Dog the Bounty Hunter, and Hulk Hogan's working on it, but he's still not totally back. He's working on it though.
Were you telling me about that when it wasn't that he said it, he didn't mind his wife sleeping with him, it was just like the fact that he didn't want him to take a picture.
Yeah,
that's what
he was saying. Don't bring him to the games and stuff. He didn't want them to be seen with her at the games.
And he was fine with them, like she was fine, like having sex with him, or he was fine with her having sex with him, but just don't come to the game with them.
What he said on the phone call was basically like, what you do in the privacy of your own home is your business, but don't be showing up to my games and getting on TV with all of them.
Yeah.
You know, and hard R's thrown throughout the conversation. That was how the actual phone conversation went.
Okay. But I think it's funny, like he was more upset about them showing up as opposed to them just going to town.
Priorities.
Pretty much.
Yeah, the only reason I know who PewDiePie is because I followed Boogie2988.
Okay.
And
Boogie's a racist too, apparently, from what people
well, from what I understand, I think him, like Donald Trump, needs somebody to control his tweets. Because he just, every time I turn around, he said something else stupid. But that's just me.
He's been saying stupid shit for 2 years.
Yeah. I don't know about Boogie stuff because I haven't followed his, but the stuff that they tried to nail on PewDiePie is just like ridiculous. First off, it's the Wall Street Journal who wrote the article to try and out him, and then in order to read the article, you had to conveniently pay $1 just to read the article. So I'm wondering who benefited more from slandering his name or allegedly throwing these words out and saying that like, oh, he's doing this allegedly, and then they're like free and clear of saying whatever else they want to from there, which is stupid.
Well, there's something going on with him and the shooting in New Zealand, but I have no idea what it.
So the
yeah.
Very quickly, we can. That's a whole nother topic we'd have to talk about, gun control and other stuff, but because it's about the kids, we need to keep the kids safe. But yeah, his manifesto, and then during his live stream, he said that as a meme. He just said a bunch of stuff that would trigger people because he knew that it would target him, and they would have to do something in response to it. PewDiePie didn't even post a video that day once it came out, and he usually posts a video daily, and so he didn't do a video, and it was just stupid. There's a lot of YouTube people who came to his aid and said, no, this is bullshit, don't believe it, like this guy is obviously just trying to say stupid stuff just to rile people up.
Yeah, the guy was like, he's real big into like meme and internet culture and all that kind of stuff, and he Facebook live streamed the first mosque that he shot up and half of the trip to the second one. And as he got into the car when he was loading up all the guns and everything, he was like, remember, lads, subscribe to PewDiePie, and then drove to the mosque and went and committed all that murder. And it's a pretty rough video to watch, but yeah, I mean, he just kind of threw it out there. But yeah, not as like a support PewDiePie or PewDiePie supports this, but just it's a meme. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a fairly popular meme. And he just said that meme. There was a bunch of other memes and everything like that he was like he was driving and he was listening to like gas. There was something else. It was like 2 or 3 other ones. And then like on his 8chan when he was posting all this stuff, there was a bunch of memes. On his Facebook, there was a bunch of memes. So like he's real big into it. And it just was unfortunate that was the meme that he picked, the one that had a specific person attached to it and not, something else.
Yeah, and then I think he was at the court date. He was holding up the OK sign as well, which was also tied to. They're saying that that's tied to white supremacy, but That's actually just a 4chan thing that went around viral, where people are trying to see that the OK symbol was a with that's like a dog whistle or something like that for white supremacy.
We used to just do that like below the waist, and you
That's
get
what
called
the-
a ball gazer, and you got punched.
That's what the game is about. You haven't heard about this?
How
I
did
thought-
it ever become? I heard about the white supremacy thing. How did it ever?
I never heard the
about?
white supremacy part, but we played the ball gazing game
Yeah.
like in middle school to this day. Like we still do
Yeah.
it. My son did it to me 2-3 days ago. I didn't teach him that. He didn't say it was ball gazing. He just knew
Yeah.
that if somebody shows you that and you look at it below the waist, that you get punched. He didn't say ball gazer.
Yeah.
But
So after the Covington thing, they brought it up again because earlier that year, that's when that happened. Is they, after after the Covington thing, there was another tweet that went out saying, "See, these kids are racist. They're obviously throwing up the white supremacy sign," and it's the basketball team holding it up like this because probably someone hit a 3-point shot. And this is after the MAGA kid incident. They said, "See, they're even using the sign during their basketball games." I'm like, it didn't come to think that that's a 3-point shot, and they're saying three-pointer for three that
Yeah.
just scored.
they were doing that to I don't know if it was Jameis Winston. It was some quarterback. It might have been Kyler Murray. No, it was Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield,
I
probably.
don't know. It was some quarterback, and like they were like, he was saying this one thing, and everybody else started saying it. So there's like a cult over the personality, and I'm like, what the hell was it? And I'm sitting here reading through comments and all that stuff, and it was like the yee yee thing from that one Vine from forever ago. And like people just didn't, they're all, the problem with all the memes and internet culture being an inside joke is that if you're not inside and you don't get the joke, sometimes people take things like way out of context, and it's like the freaking Momo thing. You know what I mean? Like it's, if you're not in that thing and you don't understand the joke, then it's all of a sudden like for real. You know what I mean? And it's actually trying to do this, and like somebody's being diabolical. It only takes one person to start spreading one of those rumors, and then it just catches like wildfire. And then like when I was a kid, they're talking about like people are putting drugs and razor blades in Halloween candy, and you got to go check them. And there were hospitals that were x-raying candy for razor blades. Now you can scour the internet as long as you like. You're not going to find any cases where people actually put razor blades in there. I don't know where that hysteria came from.
Yeah.
But it's just it just spreads. You know what I mean? People like bad news.
And we were talking about social media earlier. I don't do Facebook anymore because I'm just sick and tired of
I don't either.
Facebook. Because there's
I pissed off vegans. lately.
I
That's
I
fun.
used it so I can keep up with because we live 2 hours away from my family. Just so I can see my nieces and nephews and stuff like that. Well, half of my family is far to the right, and some of the other ones are far to the left. And I was tired of seeing Trump did this and Trump did that, because I didn't care. So I just deleted it altogether. Now I'm just look at Twitter, which is not much better, but I don't get as raged when I look at Twitter as I do Facebook.
I dumped Facebook 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and the only even kind of social media that I'm on now is Reddit. And Reddit's pretty much, where you can, if you want to go look at, right people doing right stuff, you can go to that subreddit. If you want to look at left people doing left stuff, you can go to that subreddit. If you want to look at memes, there's a subreddit for that. If you want to look at big old titties, there's a subreddit for that. If you want to look at penises, there's a subreddit for that. Everything is categorized, and you don't have to look at any of it that you don't want to. And
wasn't that the one you sent me the link to
love
that
it.
you said you wanted me to check out? Just kidding.
which one? The
penis
penises?
one. Yeah.
No, it was actually like a discussion subreddit for The View. I figured that you might like it a lot.
Even
Oh,
better.
yes. Hi guys, it's fun. You guys can finish the stream without me. Bye. Whatever. I'm out of here.
We did it.
Rage quit his own stream.
All right, we covered a lot tonight. This was fun. Want to keep it around like hour or two. If stuff flows normal, then it's fine. But yeah, we'll try and you guys down to do this again next week?
Yeah, I will not be. I'll be fishing.
Fine. I don't want you here anyways. No, I'm just kidding. No. Feel free to join us when we do in week 3. Then, if you can fill in, we'll keep that group going and whatnot. So,